midday local time here in Western Hungary, which means we can say good afternoon and a warm welcome to Balaton Park. A warm welcome to our 8th race day of the 2026 MotoGP World Championship, which coming to Hungary sees Marco Bezzecchi fresh off the back of his fairy tale dream home success in front of his home crowd in Mugello, 7 days ago. Bez brings a 20-point lead in the World Championship to Balaton Park. The MotoGP field as Marc Marquez hones in on the double victory once again here in Hungary. They'll be lights out and racing in about 2 hours' time. Marc Marquez, of course, on pole position and the winner of yesterday's sprint in dominant fashion. Next on the agenda here at Balaton Park, though, is a moment of history, a milestone Grand Prix coming up and what is scheduled to be 22 laps. It was a journey which began under the Lusail International Circuit floodlights at Qatar back in 2010. A race win for the late great Shoya Tomizawa. Today marks the 300th Moto2 World Championship Grand Prix, and leading the field away on this momentous day for Moto2 will be Blue Crew Yamaha star Ethan Guevara, who led what was a super close Q2 Moto2 yesterday here in the Hungarian sunshine. Guevara on pole position with a 1:40.280. The top 4 riders on the grid though are split by just over 600ths of a second. Philip Salac, the Czech star's purple patch in qualifying, rolls on. Salac going from a 3rd front row in the last 4 rounds. Senna just finds himself qualifying inside the top 3 once again for the first time since his opening round pole in Buriram. And keep a close eye because he's been super fast, super strong all weekend. It is the World Championship leader Manu Gonzalez heading row 2 in 4th place. Gonzalez, winner of our last 2 Grand Prix, Catalunya and Mugello. 34.5 points Gonzalez is leading the championship coming into this round 8. Matt Bradley's going to be in the commentary box talking you through all the action. Jack Appleyard down in pit lane. We have had some memorable battles in Moto2 in our previous 299 starts, 62 winners, 90 riders on podiums. And who's going to take the glory in our 3rd 17-minute battle here today? Looking forward to this one, Lewis, because Q2 was incredibly close. Some real heavyweights on the first of 3 rows, including Balaton Park winner David Alonso here last August. To mark through the Moto2's Grand Prix, this one promises to be a cracker.
Yeah, really exciting one, this, given that qualifying yesterday saw, I have to say, something of an upset for Ethan Guevara, which sounds odd given that he's 2nd in the World Championship, but he's had a bit of a mixed weekend. Crashed on his very first outlap here on Friday morning. He's had some front brake issues with his Boscoscuro, which certainly held him back on Sunday in Mugello last weekend, but recovered brilliantly to take his 2nd pole of the year, the first repeat pole sitter of 2026. And an upset too, because Manu Gonzalez had dominated the World Championship leader the entire weekend, fastest in all 3 practices and leading up to qualifying. So I think many were expecting him to take a comfortable pole. He's not even on the front row.
Only the 19th pole position for Boscoscuro in the hands of Ethan Guevara. 3 in the last 4. He's probably one more than Boscoscuro managed throughout the whole of 2025. Jake Dixon was their only pole sitter last year in Austin and in the Saxon Ring. So Ethan Guevara then brings himself to pole position. He's been a fantastic performances so far this season. Podiums in Thailand and in Austin, a win in Le Mans, and the most recent podium in Catalunya has meant it's all pointing towards Ethan Guevara being part of the MotoGP grid next year, the new 850cc era, the new Pirelli tyre era. 7th he was last time at Mugello, which is his equal lowest finish of the campaign. 95 points collected so far by the Spanish rider. He's got a pretty miserable Balaton Park experience here last year. He jumped the start, he got a double on that, and then eventually retired out of the action.
Guevara wants to try and close down that 34.5-point advantage to Manu Gonzalez. I have the Valencia winner Guevara in my mind, thinking about this potential Grand Prix ahead of us. Remember when he was under intense pressure from Danny Holgado for the entire race, but he was able to hold him back. Is that the kind of race for this in here for Guevara because he is so difficult to pass. Perhaps the hardest rider to overtake in Moto2.
Philip Salac is waving to his left there because there's a massive Philip Salac banner on the main grandstand, and the Czech fans have made themselves heard here because Philip giving them a nice wave. Philip Salac, 3 front row starts and 81 appearances in Moto2, and now 3 in the last 4. Last year's Balaton winner, David Alonso, he's going to be in the game for the win here today, surely. Back in the third row goes the Colombian, he's with Jack.
Yes, he just gets a final tap on the back and a word of advice from team boss Jorge Martinez Aspar. Well, David, you did it last year. I guess everybody wants to know, can you do it again this year?
We already made year change, you know. Here is a different condition. So let's keep focused on what the situation we have now and make a good start with all the eyes on the first corner and then just try to go like ride by rider. Just no matter where I feel, just try to take the rider in front and be focused to the finish line to try to be on a bubble all the way.
Good luck, have fun.
Thanks, Jack. David Alonso was pure box office here in the Balaton Grand Prix last year. He ended lap 2 11th, just before the halfway point of last year's Grand Prix. He was over 4 seconds off the lead before he passed Manuel Gonzalez on that thrilling final lap to become the first Colombian rider in Intermediate World Championship history to win a Grand Prix.
And he was second to Manuel Gonzalez in all 3 practice sessions, so another rider who's probably qualified lower down the field than they really should be in terms of their race pace. It's been a familiar concern for Alonso in his Moto2 career so far, and a year and a half in, he's maximising a soft Pirelli tyre in qualifying trim and in the early laps. So it's so important for Alonso not to lose ground on the first lap if he is to challenge for a second consecutive win here.
World champion Manuel Gonzalez that heads an all-Spanish second row, also featuring Alex Escrige and Danny Holgado, who we just saw there on screens. Qualified top 6 and 5 of 8 so far this year. That's Holgado. And many people's dark horses for the podium here this afternoon is Dutch rider Colin Wright, qualified top 10 in the last 10. He goes from 7th and he's with Jack.
Yeah, looks like a really competitive race, this one, Colin. A lot of riders with similar pace. What's going to be crucial?
First laps, and I think then the pace will be, because it's a very long race. So I think tyres stay quite well here normally. So I think the pace will be very fast from the beginning on, and let's try to see if we can get it.
Good luck, have fun.
Thanks, Jack. 4 top 10s so far this season for Colin Wright. We just saw there once again shining in qualifying. Clint Racing Team forward rider Alex Escrige, middle of row 2 in 5th place. The 22-year-old Spaniard has qualified top 6 now with 5 of 8 Grand Prix. All that's point scoring finishes in 7 in a row. He's hit the buffers of late on in any of the last 3. Back to the front row of the grid. Aussie star Senna just qualified 3rd. He's with Jack.
Yeah, brilliant job yesterday by Senna to get onto the front row of the grid. And as I said to Colin, looks like a really competitive race, but feels as though you're going to be one right in the mix. Looking forward to this, Senna.
Yeah, of course I am. I've had a great weekend. I had a lot of focus on Friday to get up to speed really quickly for last year, so it's nice to be here. The track's a completely different one to we have normally on the calendar. The layout is super unique, so it requires a lot of focus and consistency. And yeah, let's see. I think we should have a bit of a group out the front, so we need to get a good start, be aggressive and settle in as quickly as we can, and then have a good race from there. So yeah, I feel like it now.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Big day tomorrow for Senna. He just turns 21. He'll be hoping it's a big day today for the Sydney sider. Back on the front row, looking very strong. That front row was so tight. Just over 300th of a second, splitting Guevara, Salac and Aegis.
It's 3rd time this season now that Senna Regis has out-qualified his teammate Manuel Gonzalez, who starts at the front of that second row. Can Ethan Guevara then convert pole into victory in Hungary? Here's boss Alex De Angelis is now with Jack.
Yeah, that's the big question, Lewis. Alex took some problems during the weekend. It's not been an easy one, but starting from pole position, what are Ethan's chances?
We believe that everything is okay. At the end yesterday he was really fast and he believed in his bike and everything. Unfortunately we didn't have so many laps continuity, so we don't know about really the tire, but everybody used the same tire, everybody had the same feeling. I believe we don't miss anything to have a good race.
Let's hope so. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks to Alex De Angelis. Good point he makes there with the problems that Guevara's had through the weekend, particularly on Friday morning. Hasn't been able to do that long run preparation for the Grand Prix, so potentially in the dark a little bit ahead of what's to come, but certainly starting in the right position. And here is David Alonso, who we've heard from on the grid with Jack. He was 11th at the end of the first lap here last year, and he came through to win, so surely anything is possible from 9th.
Marcelo Ages will turn 21 on Tuesday. Nevertheless, a big day coming for him on Tuesday. Can he be celebrating in some style from the front row of the grid? There is Celestino Vietti, reportedly on some show in front of his own crowd in Mugello last weekend. 16th to 3rd in the Tuscany Mountains. Only 19 podiums in Moto2 history have come from lower on the grid. The most recent was Alan Canet from 21st to 3rd in Mandalika. Speaking of Canet, that's Mark Vidic Racing Team rider once again suffering on the Bosca Score chassis. He's only qualified once inside the top 10 Canet so far this season. He finds himself in 16th place on the grid with Alberto Ferrandez and Ivan Ortola, who had a pretty eventful Q2 yesterday.
So he did, as did Vietti, but a deja vu for Vietti after crashing in qualifying last weekend. Did it again yesterday in qualifying 1. Did go late Q2, and it was at the start of that Q2 session where Ortola had a crash into turn 1. He is generally a very fast starter, quite dynamic on the opening lap, is Ivan Ortola. Boy, is he going to need to be from the back of row 6.
That issue he had before him out of the podium back in Mugello last weekend. He did end a very promising run of 9 successive points finishes for the 21-year-old. But yeah, his hopes of a decent qualifying completely ended by that crash at the first corner. BMW safety car then has peeled away at the front of this historic Moto2 grid here in Balaton.
As far as the Pirellis are concerned underneath, every single rider on the grid has gone for the SC1 soft and the SCX Super Soft rear. It is a straight shootout.
Belgian Barry Baltus starts 11th, which is 1 place ahead of where he finished this Balaton Grand Prix here last year. He will have to serve a long lap penalty for exceeding track limits in last year's battle. 8th over the line in Mugello last weekend, only his 2nd top 10 of the season so far. Which has been a bit underwhelming, we have to say, for a rider who dazzled last year, finishing 3rd overall in the World Championship. It's on to Van den Gorber, the 20-year-old from the Netherlands. His best qualifying in 16 Grand Prix. He goes from 13th on the grid. Last time he qualified that well, it was right here on the front row of the grid at Balaton Park in late August.
And he feels that progress is now starting to be made on board that machine, heading in the right direction, as is the Moto3 World Champion, Jose Antonio Rueda. It is not a career best qualifying for Rueda. He was 9th in Barcelona, but this is a first automatic Q2 for the young Spaniard. Definitely getting the hang of Moto2 now.
He really is. Back-to-back points when he finishes 12th in Barcelona, 13th last time out in Mugello. Senna Agersen on the front row of the grid in P3. 3 front row starts in the last 4 Grand Prix for Philippe Salat, looking for a big home race boost with Renault coming up later on this month. What do you think, Navarra? Can he stop the Manu Gonzalez winning machine of late in Moto2? The Spaniard starts from pole.
History made as we get set for the 300th Moto2 Grand Prix. It's Balaton Park. It's the Hungarian Grand Prix. Ivan Gamarov, 2nd pole of the year from Philippe Salat and Senna Agersen, who out-qualifies his teammate Manu Gonzalez for the 3rd time this year. He starts 4th, having topped every practice session ahead of Alex Skridge and Danny Holgado, who was on the podium a week ago in Mugello. Colin Byron, he fought for the podium here last year. He starts 7th ahead of Alonso Lopez, who came through Q1, and last year's winner, David Alonso. Equal best qualifying of the year for Danny Munoz in 10th ahead of Barry Baltus and Celestino Vietti, who crashed for the 2nd Saturday in a row. Zonta-Van Gorbo 13th ahead of Jose Antonio Rueda, Tony Arbolino and another Q1 graduate, Aaron Canet. Alberto Ferrandez, he was in the top 6 on Friday, starts 17th ahead of another qualifying crash at Ivan Ortola. Yumi Sasaki is ahead of Taya Murasato and Luca Renetta on row 7. Then we find Joe Roberts, Dennis Onchu, Xavi Zunatuza, who is now the permanent rider at forward. They've parted company with Jorge Navarro, Sergio Garcia, Jacob Ralston is in for the injured Mario Laggi, and Adrian Puertas complete the order.
So for the 300th time in Moto2 history, the riders set for action. What a journey has been since Shoya Tomazawa won the first Moto2 Grand Prix in Qatar all the way back in 2010. 62 riders have won in Moto2. 9 riders have taken pole positions. Marc Marquez, of course, the most successful ever Moto2 World Championship rider with 16 wins. Tom Luthi still very much part of the Moto2 project. Accelerates Manu Gonzalez, he's the rider mentor for. He's had the most podiums with 53. It has been some stepping stone for future MotoGP stars. 17 of the 22 riders in MotoGP coming up later on have won races in Moto2. 7 of those are Moto2 World Champions, including our last two, Ayagura and Diogo Moreira, and of course 2 other Moto2 World Champions on the current MotoGP grid are not here, with Alex Marquez and Joan Zarco. Joan Zarco, the only rider that's won 2 Moto2 World Championships. Manu Gonzalez searching for his first. He's 34.5 points clear of Ethan Guevara. Guevara starting from pole position for the second time in the last 4 Grand Prix. Who is going to claim the glory here in Hungary in this milestone 300th Moto2 battle? All that is about to be completed. This, just a quick reminder, is a scheduled 22-lap Moto2 scrap. Salat on the front row, 5th in Magellan last time out. That was on his 9th top 6 finish, 84 appearances in the Moto2 World Championship, best in 20 since his Aragon 5th, and pretty much a full calendar year ago. 300, it's Guevara, former Moto3 World Champion. Looks like he'll be with MotoGP next year. He's used this Moto2 World Championship as the platform, as the launch pad to Premier Class stardom, as so many riders have done in the last 16 or so years. Here we go then, green flag. Hungary. Lights out, and we're racing in the 300th Moto2 battle here in Balaton. Philippe Salas trying to get it aggressive on the inside of Guevara down into the run for the first corner. Coming from a long way back. Is that Alonso Lopez? Well, he's so fortunate and nobody caught him. Alex Estree's made a really good start from 5th place on the game. He's struggling to keep himself inside that top 5. But there's Salas, the Czech rider, his home Grand Prix. Everyone coming with a couple of 2 leads.
Contact with the intact teammates, I think they're through turn 3 as well. Not sure what corner Alonso Lopez thought he was braking for, but it wasn't the 35-mile-an-hour turn 1, and it's Philippe Salas who was the big winner out of that to take the lead.
As Lopez on a flight to catch him through the pest in about 2 minutes' time. It is Salas who leads them for just the second time in his Moto2 career. Burram back in 2022 in the rain conditions. The last time Salas led, first time he's ever led a dry Grand Prix Moto2.
And Gonzalez took Guevara into turn 5, top 2 in the championship. Guevara trying to fight back into 9 now, so crucial early moves for Manu Gonzalez. He's passed his teammate and he's passed Guevara, just Salas up ahead of him.
Dream first lap so far has been for Gonzalez, just where we wanted to be. Try and make some early ground, avoid some trouble in that first corner. That was the first mission, a bit of a wheelie there for ages as he got on the gas coming out of turn 11.
Salas with, of course, his home Grand Prix to come in a couple of weeks' time in the Czech Grand Prix. I guess someone down, I think it's a Mark Vidies Boscoscuro down at the back of the picture, and whoever that rider was looked distinctly unhappy with whoever was involved. It's Aaron Canet who's down on the first lap at turn 12.
He was out on the first lap in Mugello 7 days ago. What a thoroughly wretched week it has been for Canet and the Elf Mark Vidies race. He was out on the first lap with Zuratuza in Mugello. Out on the first lap now here in Balaton. The first lap which is led by Salas. Gonzalez in a superb first lap, up 2 places from 4th to 2nd, just cutting out slightly tighter inside line there on the brakes as Guevara. Oh, did he took the front there? I think he did. He just comes on through Guevara, almost wiped out the front on the Boscoscuro.
It's not been a lucky corner for him. That's 2 in a row where he's had issues on the first lap. I think he was the rider who really did have to check up and pick his bike up with Lopez barrelling up the inside, cost him the lead to Salas, and he's now behind Gonzalez, his teammate. That's Seneré just running now 3rd. Guevara 4th, but under pressure from Holgado now.
Oh, great big strides made forward so far by last year's winners. Holgado now picks up Ethan Guevara. This has been a terrible second lap so far for the pole side. I was just about to say Alonso, who started in 9th place, has got himself up into 7th. He's certainly a lot higher than he was at this stage of the Grand Prix here last year. He was outside of the top 10, still came careering through to win.
So Screech runs 8th when he was staring at the lead when he brakes for turn 1. Lopez, after all of that, is only 1 place lower than he started in 9th place. Then it's Munoz. Vietti's only gained the 1 place on the first lap. He needed to make a little bit more ground than that on lap 1 if he was to get involved in the podium battle.
Yeah, Alonso Lopez just waited for somebody else to brake and then braked himself about 50 meters later, didn't he? Thankfully, nobody was caught up in that first corner drama because there was a big melee here in Balaton on lap 1 last year. On board then with Guevara, who's been picked off in this second lap, hasn't it? Looking towards fellow Spaniard Danny Holgado.
Salach continues to lead at the front of the race. I don't think Guevara will panic at the moment as long as it's Salach at the front, not Manu Gonzalez, although Gonzalez, of course, would extend his World Championship lead if he took the flag out now. Lap 3 of 22. They exchange fastest laps on a 1:41.2. Gonzalez a fraction faster than the Czech out front.
He has been threatening a big result, hasn't he, late Salach? Top 10s in his last 3. Alonso's got through on Via, so Alonso then now up into the top 6. His charge well and truly underway there. He is on the 80 bike on the red until they go through turns 3 and 4. So Alonso then has found himself up into P6 now.
Tola is making progress from his crashing qualifying. Started in 18th place. He's gained 5 spots in the first 2 laps. Ortola is now up into 13th. He's a couple of spots behind Vietti.
And that last lap, a mistake at the first corner and the pickup of Danny Holgado. Ethan Navarro was the slowest rider in the top 7. He was only riding in the top 7 in the 42s, a 42.3 from Guevara. Looking so good. Looking fantastic at the front of this Grand Prix is Czech rider Filip Salach at the moment. Gonzalez seemingly quite content just to sit a little bit, 3, 4, 5, 6 bike lengths off the rear tyre of the American racing rider.
It'll be in Filip Salach's mind as much as it's in all of ours how difficult it is to overtake around this Balaton Park circuit. So Salach will be thinking, it's all up to me now. If I make no mistakes, then it's going to force Manu Gonzalez to take some serious risks behind me to take the lead. And Manu Gonzalez with a championship mentality, 34.5 points in the lead. He's not going to try barreling at the inside of a rider chasing his first Moto2 win from too far back.
Don't tend to have any issues flogging tickets for the Czech Grand Prix in Brno, do they? But if there are any tickets left, they're going to get snapped up if Filip Salach wins the Balaton Grand Prix. Put himself in a phenomenal position. He just set once again the fastest lap of the race at 1:41.064. Guevara trying to find a way back through on Holgado. So Salach then came over the line just under 3/10 clear of World Champion Gonzalez.
Yeah, looks like Guevara has settled things down now in 5th place, but he's trying to clear Holgado as quickly as he can. Oh, that's Ortola into the side of Danny Munoz, both down at turn 3.
That's a nasty one. It looks like Munoz just got sandwiched like a pincer he was there in between the 2 motorcycles. It looked like he was able to get to his feet relatively quickly, but that's a controversial one going through 3. Ortola trying to find his way back through. He clearly was on the inside. Wrong place, wrong time for a Taltrans rider, Munoz. He is thankfully quickly back on his feet because that could have turned nasty.
Yeah, it's a corner where, of course, you go left through 2, 3 and 4. So you're always going to want to try and carry a little bit of a wider line. Long lap penalty for Ethan Guevara. I did wonder, off the start line, because he made a poor start and then moved across towards Salach. So a tough start has got worse now for Ethan Guevara.
We've seen that for Baltas and Lopez, didn't we, in Austin at the start of this season. So, yeah, I mean, this is not playing out how Guevara and Blue Crew Pramac Yamaha expected at all, because
top 10 of that.
Yeah, he's going to be really struggling here. Let's have a look at that pole position for Guevara on a 28 bike, and he just cuts across. I mean, his argument will be that there's not much I can do there with the front wheel in the air. It's just natural momentum, natural trajectory, which is moving him to that right-hand side. So probably that will be his defence for sure, but what is not up for debate is he's going to have to come through the long lap. Starts another lap in the box where he's at the front of this Grand Prix. Pace is holding up behind him. Ages and Guevara have just set PB laps.
Guevara has now passed Holgado for that 4th place. He now needs to leg it up the road for the next 3 laps to try and build up as much time as he can before he comes back out over that long lap penalty loop. It's going to cost you a good 3 seconds. If you add 3 seconds to Guevara's time at the moment, he's dropping behind Vietti in 10th.
So the unsafe change of direction at the race starts. That is what the FI MotoGP stewards have looked at, and they decide to bust Guevara with the long lap penalty. On board then with Gonzalez. This is the battle for the victory. Gonzalez, of course, will be unaware of all the drama unfolding behind him for his chief championship rival coming into this Hungarian Grand Prix. What about Chelsea Vietti, who's 3rd at the moment in the rankings? Vietti is just inside the top 10, so he could actually be taking 2nd place away from Guevara in the standings if it plays out as is.
There's a Guevara then a little bit hot into the chicane of 9 and 10. There must be a bit of frustration and anger boiling under the helmet of Ethan Guevara at the moment. Just hasn't gone his way for a variety of reasons from the moment this Grand Prix got underway.
Yeah, when he sees long lap on his dashboard, he might
wonder what it's
yeah,
for.
what the heck's that for? Don't think I've done anything wrong, so just got to keep calm here, keep his composure. Has Guevara, have to say that at the moment he's not had anything for the trio of Calixes directly ahead of him. Still Salach is doing a stellar job at the front of this Grand Prix. Gonzalez, though, looking very, very menacing, isn't he, Manu? Just looking like he's just playing the waiting game, playing the patient game, and just working out where Salach is strong, where he's weak, and perhaps where the really optimal moment. The centre Aegis finds the first 1:40 lap of this Grand Prix. That is some pace, this by Aegis. A 1:40.996. That was 3/10 quicker than his teammate Gonzalez directly ahead of him.
If I was Ethan Guevara, I'd leave it until the latest possible moment to serve that penalty, because they're quicker, quite comfortably quicker than the group behind. He would now probably drop out around about where Escrichen and V. Lopez are in 8th and 9th. So if he can put in another fast couple of laps here before he comes up with a long lap penalty, he can limit the damage to maybe 3 or 4 places rather than the 6 that he'd lose if he drops through now.
Now the order, nothing going again for Baltas. He's in 15th place. That's 1 place out. Tayo Furusato, the Japanese rookie, trying to find his way into point scoring positions for the first time in Moto2. Just behind Vietti and Tendis, Van der Gorberg, Alberto Ferrandez, Jose Antonio away. That's just taken Ferrandez for 12th place, so the potential third 600 point scoring finish coming up for the Moto3 world champion. Just getting the sense here that Gonzalez is just biding his time, isn't he? Just biding his time. Fair play to Salach. On that last lap, Salach did himself get down to a 1:41.055, so his pace is not slacking off at all.
Salach will make Manu Gonzalez work for this, no question about that. His 85th Moto2 start. If you go back further to Moto2, he's at 135th Grand Prix start today in all classes. None of those have seen Philippe Salach take the top step of the podium as a Grand Prix winner, so you're going to have to prize him out of the front of this race by his fingernails.
He's not going to check with us. It's Carol Abraham, who's here as part of the Czech TV coverage. A couple of commentary boxes further down is Carol. I'm sure he's having kittens right now in their commentary box, because he was the last Czech rider to win a Grand Prix at Valencia in 2010, which is a long, long time ago. The first season, of course, the final round of the first season of the Moto2 World Championship. That would be some story, wouldn't it, if in our 300th Grand Prix it is a Czech rider that finds himself back on the top step of the podium.
A guard of honour into Brno, won't he? Philippe Salach, if he can hold on to this one. We're only at around 1/3 distance, though, still an awful long way to go. But what is clear is that Philippe Salach has found a happy home at the American racing team, because it has been a tough couple of years for Philippe Salach, because was on the bottom scorer in recent times with Elf Martin. Yes, clearly so happy at American racing, and boy is he showing it.
They need him at the moment, because at the moment Joe Roberts is misfiring somewhat on the other side of that American racing garage. Yellow flags out in turns 5 and 6. So has Colin Vyer's gone down. Colin Vyer's having a bit of a tough time of late. That's now his 3rd DNF, or potentially going to try and restart this Grand Prix. If he's not able to do so, though, it would be a 3rd DNF in the last 4. He didn't finish in Le Mans. He didn't finish up the front right Catalan. Guevara then does sweep in for his long lap penalty.
There's 1 place less to lose because Vyer's out of the way, and those laps he put in, those hot laps, have actually only dropped Guevara 2 places. He's only dropped behind the asphalt there for Polcado and Alonso, so credit to Guevara there for the hot laps he put in. He did 41.2 on the last lap, faster than the leader, so not done as much damage to his race as we might have thought at the time.
Vyer's got pace, Vyer's got speed, but he's not seeing enough checker flags, is he, at the moment? The promising Netherlands teenager. This is where he's going to bail out. Took in the front into turn 5. That's such an easy mistake to make when you're trying to gain time, when you're trying to get close to riders ahead of you to make moves. So easily done just to get sucked into the hard braking zones. Once again, Gonzalez just eats up a bit of time, mainly braking for that tight first corner. Starts once again, it's another 141 flat from the Czech rider. I mentioned a couple laps ago, his pace is just not slacking off at all. If Manu Gonzalez is going to win a 3rd successive Moto2 race in 2026, he's going to be pushed all the way to the flag, it looks like, by Salach.
Yeah, and Gonzalez probably won't know at this stage where Guevara is, and the fact that he's had a long lap penalty. But with Guevara 6th, Gonzalez 2nd, he would extend his championship lead by a further 10 points. It would be 44.5 points. It's very early in the season to be thinking, I'll set up a 2nd place, but Gonzalez will know full well that the rider ahead of him is not a title threat.
Back-to-back DNFs for Ortola. You can see, look at Vietti on a big power slide, and then on the inside he will say, well,
where else could I go?
Yeah, I was on the leaning over to the left. I didn't really see Munoz fully in my peripheral vision.
Because if he checks up and backs out of it, then someone's going to run into the back of him, isn't he? So Altoro, I think, was kind of in an invidious position there. Could he go forwards? Could he go backwards? In the end, he ran into the side of him.
Marshall did a fantastic job there, because we had a bit of a Balaton barbecue for Auto's motorcycle. They were quickly able to extinguish that at the front. Philip Salac, still your race leader, capitalising on that third front row start in the last four to get the whole shot, and he has not looked back so far, because if he does so, he'll get a face full of the World Championship leader Manu Gonzalez. Let's just check once again. 44-1 from Salac, 44-1 from Gonzalez, 44-1 from Aegis. Quickest ride of the top four on that previous circuit is PB, that came in from Holgado, who's about 9/10 clear of his Aspar teammate Alonso.
Top four all in the low 41s. Alonso at the moment doesn't have the pace to go with the top four ahead of him. Alonso will be hoping that his famed late race pace will still bring him into contention here. But a lot of work to do from fifth place, and Guevara having rejoined from his long laps doing 41.4, so he's just under a second behind Alonso, but comfortably clear of the Lopez-Vietti-Escreed battle behind it.
A bit of helping hand from Colin Vire, and looks at the Taiko Sato is on course for his first Moto2 World Championship point scoring finish, and a cracking ride down in 14th place. Obviously former Honda teammate in Moto3 to start, and he's ahead of Tony Arbolino, who's having a real tough time at the moment for a frantic race. Jose Antonio Rueda shining once again, the Moto3 World Champion just outside of the top 10 in 11th place.
Behind Guevara at the moment, as Gerardo Baldwin is Alonso Lopez, who I guess can technically say he led the Hungarian Grand Prix for all of about 20 metres before he sailed wide at the first corner. He came through qualifying one yesterday with Lopez, so he has recovered his weekend, to be fair, from what was a fairly poor Friday. Vietti not really able to do anything about it at the moment in that 8th place, and of course, much like Guevara, it's Vietti too who's also losing a chunk of points at the moment to Manu Gonzalez.
With the pace wedged in those low 141, it just means the centre Aegis can make no significant inroads back towards Salac and Gonzalez. It's pretty much as you were. But Philip Salac, well, this is superb by the Czech star. He now has got himself into the 140. Second rider in the Grand Prix to dip into the 140s. Aegis did it a few laps ago, didn't he? With Philip Salac, since the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 140.911. You have to say, though, Manu Gonzalez just looks like the epitome of cool, calm, collected. He's got ice running through his veins, as did Manu Gonzalez. Just looks like the amount of time before he will feel like, well, now's the time to stop. Not even a half race distance yet.
He's asking Philip Salac to do something that he's never done in his Grand Prix career, not just to win a Grand Prix, but to lead it from the front, lap after lap, to put in that relentless consistency of high 140s, low 141s. We've seen all weekend through practice that Manu Gonzalez is plenty capable of lapping at that pace over and over again. He's asking the question of Philip Salac, can you go another 12 laps on this pace without a single mistake? If you can't, I'm ready to pass.
Let's hope it is not 3D national for Colin Vire. He has rejoined this Grand Prix, as we saw him attempting to do so. So he is at least back on the road. Looking back to the 96 bike of Holgado. He's got it all on to get back on the podium here in Balaton. He's 1.5 seconds adrift of Aegis. David Alonso, his teammate, still in 5th. Now, we saw last year here in Balaton a stunning second half charge from David Alonso. He needs another one because he's the thick end of 4 seconds behind your race leader Salac.
Yeah, he's 2.5 off the podium position at the moment. Yet he has now made his way through on Alonso Lopez, past him with shooting into the turn 9 and 10 chicane. Huge group behind him, which is now being led by the second of the Blue Crew Boscoscoros with Alberto Ferrandez. Here he is, only 54. He's up into 9th place, but this battle is the rest of the point scorers.
It's on to Van den Gordel. He's scored points in 2 of the last 3. And this is the tyres up we're seeing the Netherlands rider for a fair time. And let's squeeze there right in this mix as well. Back at the front, 41.3 on that last lap from Salac, which was probably, aside from his standing start on lap 1, the slowest lap of the Grand Prix so far from the American racing start.
There's that for Rueda at the inside of Van den Gordel, the Moto3 champion, now up into 11th place. That's Baltus and Forasato also at the back of the picture. Forasato only 72 by Rueda, now drew on a screech who looked like he was struggling to stop that forward. So Rueda's taken 2 riders in 3 corners, and he's now into the top 10.
screen. If you want to keep a check on your lead group, you can see Salac and Gonzalez in the top left-hand corner of your screens, as you were between those two. Just out of shot is Senna Aegis, who's been sort of 8 or 9 tenths off the rear tyre of his teammate Gonzalez for 7 or 8 laps now. Just, he's matching the pace of his team. Again, Gonzalez and Aegis 141.1s. And when the sort of, it's not static though, but when the time is static in terms of what they're producing, it means that there's just no, Aegis cannot cut the gap, can he?
Even in Moto2, it is still an issue with the temperature and pressure of your front tyre going through the roof. So might be a decent strategy for Gonzalez here, just to sit 3-4 tenths off the race leader and just wait for your moment later on in the race. This is now around about half distance. We've completed 11 of 22 laps here as we ride on board with Manu Gonzalez. He's so close he can read the name of the rider he's chasing, Salac, on the back of the leathers of the check up front. Gonzalez, how much longer does he wait? How patient is he prepared to be in second place here?
He's well on course to be the first rider since Ferdinand Alligator on that golden run at the end of 2023 to win 3 on the spin. 13 riders have done that previously in Moto2. He's getting a bit close here. That was time. What a time to ride on board that was with the world champion leader, as he almost ploughed into the back of Salac on the long run down into turn 5. Now that's the Prix just starting to suck here. The Prix now is back in 15. Oh, here goes Gonzalez. That is the optimal time then. He has decided this is his moment. Through he goes then on Philip Salac into the chicane of 9 and 10. And is that game over for Gonzalez? He would be 44.5 points clear of Guevara in the championship. Philip Salac, what have you got?
Yeah, it was almost like Manu Gonzalez set his stopwatch. The alarm went off. Right now is the moment to pounce. Got a huge run on him, didn't he, through 7 and 8, and just straight inside into turn 9. And Philip Salac, certainly at that particular moment, had no answer. And is Manu Gonzalez now going to crack the pace up, crack the pressure up on Philip Salac?
Salac must have known that was coming in and heard that Calyx behind him as they braked into turn 5. It was a great time to ride on board with Manu Gonzalez, who at the moment is just proving so many massive points about 2027 and beyond. Because as it stands at the moment, despite a few murmurings linking in with a couple of potential MotoGP seats, at the moment there's no rock-solid, concrete news about whether Manu Gonzalez will have a spot on the new 850cc powered MotoGP grid next year. I mean, it just seems like he's on a one-man mission to show MotoGP, do not ignore me. Cal Crutchlow, don't ignore me.
It's hard to ignore Manu Gonzalez at the moment with the form he's putting in. He is racing away from the front of the Moto2 World Championship at the moment with Guevara down in 6th. There's a battle building up between the Aspar duo for 4th and 5th now. We are now starting to see David Alonso demonstrate his potential and his performance in the second half of the race, which we are now in. Alonso was the next fastest rider behind the intact pair of Gonzalez and Aegis last time round. He's now right behind his teammate Holgado for 4th.
Nothing from the Aspar duo in terms of a podium threat so far. It's been all about these three, hasn't it, at the front. And we saw briefly Ethan Guevara in the mix after his early dramas. And Holgado is 2.5 seconds behind Aegis. It's about half a second in turn up the road ahead of Alonso. Whatever happens from this point onward, it's been an absolutely brilliant performance by Salac coming into this Balaton Grand Prix. He'd only ever led 3 laps before in Moto2. So what, he led the 11th of the first 12. Superb this. Is it game over already? Manu Gonzalez, it looks like it is, just starting already to stretch out his legs and stretch a lead, which very, very soon will be about 3/4 of a second.
Actually more than that to come across the line. It's about 6 tenths, but a personal best lap. Gonzalez, with empty time ahead of him, dropped straight into the 140s once again. Manu Gonzalez has everything under control at the moment, doesn't he? Not just in this race, but in the Moto2 World Championship.
Well, he mulliganed in Mugello 7 days ago with one of the most dominant performances in Moto2 ever at the Italian Grand Prix. Had he not rolled out a bit late on, he would have won by north of 6 seconds. And he's inflicting some more big punishment here. He runs wide coming out of turn 4 onto the green paint. Another massive, massive day coming in terms of the World Championship for Gonzalez, because he is the leader. 25 maximum points potentially going his way. And with Ethan Guevara still in 6th place, relatively safe 6th spot, although Felix Guevara, he's just set his best out of the Grand Prix so far with a 141.099. potentially 10 more points going away here, at least, of Gonzalez.
The race is getting worse for the forward team. We've got a Scridge falling down the order like an elevator with the cable cut. He's down in 19th place now, and his teammate Chami Zurutuza has been given a long lap penalty for exceeding track limits once too many. He's down in 22nd place.
Senna Davis must be sick of the sight to seeing +0.8 to Salac or Gonzalez, because that's where he's been stuck for the whole of this Grand Prix. Bragging rights at stake here in Hungary for the Aspar duo. All of a sudden Alonso has jumped all over the rear tyre of Danny Holgado. As Alonso got time and the late race pace he demonstrated so brilliantly here last August to get himself maybe back into the podium battle, it's a big ask, because Senna Davis was just reeling off 41-1s, 41-2s for fun in third.
But to Salac, he responded with a 41-1. He was actually slightly quicker than Gonzalez on the last lap, so he's not giving up on this one just yet. Nico Tirol and Jorge Martinez Aspar will be, I guess, a little bit edgy watching this, because it is fair to say that in their time as teammates in Moto2, that Holgado and Alonso have got a history for running into each other.
Who saw this coming? The prospect of going to round 9 in the World Championship, still awaiting a potential first podium of the campaign for David Alonso, who pre-season was many people's picks to be favourite to run away with this year's World Championship. 0-2's on confirmation on the screens. He's got a long lap penalty to serve. And Alex Escridge has gone suffering some kind of major issue. He's doing mid-44s in the moment, Escridge. On the last lap he lost places to Huerta, Sasaki and Onju. He's now in 20th place, Escridge.
Alonso having a look there at Holgado. We saw a lot of moves from Alonso last year into 9 and 10. They're side by side at the top of the picture, but it is Holgado still ahead as we get confirmation that Barry Baltus is the latest now to receive a long lap penalty. He's running in 12th position. Looking at where he is at the moment, that will drop him to the back of that group behind his team at Arbolino and Forasata.
Well, who says lightning does not strike twice? Barry Baltus took the checker flag 12 here last year, having to serve a long lap for exceeding track limits. So it's deja vu as far as the Belgian goes.
And Gonzalez, the World Championship leader and race leader, he's now been given a track limits warning. So something that the points leader has to be a little bit careful of and keep in his mind now, with still 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. And Salac is certainly not letting him run away with it. Yet again, consecutive laps, that the 12 was faster than the 18. So Gonzalez hasn't got this sewn up yet.
Yeah, this is smart by Sainz, because he's got a front row seat. He'll see the fact that Gonzalez keeps touching the green, and he'll think, if I can keep this pressure on, push him into a few more mistakes, well, there might be a long lap penalty coming the way here for Manu Gonzalez. He's going to have to be picture perfect in the final stages of this Balaton battle. Some battle is still raging. The blue on blue between 96 and 80 in Aspar. Still Holgado is resisting Alonso. You can just see they're moving out the picture on this run down to turn 5. It's Guevara. Hasn't been his day at all from pole position. The long lap penalty to serve after the unsafe change of direction as he launched from that pole. That was deemed by the FIM MotoGP stewards. But all things considered, as Alonso tries to go side by side with Holgado into the chicane, that's not going to work out. And it's Guevara for a long lap penalty. All the problems he's had so far this weekend, technical-wise, still going to be pretty satisfied with 6.
Yeah, it would be a decent damage limitation. John has been in the top 7 in every Grand Prix, and the pace he's had since serving that long lap, I don't think he would have been able to match Gonzalez, Salac and Aegis at the front of the race. He certainly would have been ahead of this battle between Holgado and Alonso. So Guevara not under any pressure from behind either, with Vietti some 4.5 seconds further back.
In terms of the championship, Guevara and Vietti just signed up to the Philip Salac fan club. They're going to be desperate to see if Salac can somehow find his way back through on Gonzalez, snatch 5 extra points away from the Spanish rider. And again, Salac, for 3 or 4 laps now, he's been in those high 140s. Now, Manu Gonzalez is being severely tested here. This is a big examination of the World Championship. He cannot break Salac at all.
There's a mistake, as Holgado has been broken by David Alonso. Alonso didn't in the end have to outbrake Danny Holgado, so Holgado outbraked himself into turn 1. How much extra pace has Alonso now got? Not sure he's got the time, though, to chase down Senna Davis, but 3 seconds to make up and only 6 laps to do it in.
Yeah, this looks like a given that Salac is going to win his first podium in 33 Grand Prix since Motegi at the end of 2024. Some performance this, some ride. surely one of the best drive performances we've seen in his Grand Prix career from Philip Salich. Not too many riders in 2026 have taken the challenge, gone toe-to-toe with Manu Gonzalez. Salich has on this occasion, although for the first time he's just slipped over half a second behind Manu Gas, halfway round this lap 17 of 22.
Gonzalez has to be fast but also precise. He can't afford to drift onto the green and exceed track limits a couple more times, because along that penalty would quite obviously deny him a third consecutive victory. Gonzalez, though, he's so good in these Moto2 battles, leading from the front, just riding to a pace he knows he can do, riding within his limit rather than riding over his limit. That is the challenge in front of the points leader right now.
Massive day in terms of challenge coming away as well for Gonzalez. Coming into this Grand Prix, his 34.5-point lead was the biggest after 7 rounds in 11 seasons since Johan Zarco in 2015, and he is now hammered down. Manu Gonzalez has started to really push Philip Salich. A 1:40.893 from Gonzalez then, fastest ever of this Grand Prix. That's why he was able to jump out half a second clear of the Czech rider.
And they've totally dropped Aegis now, who's doing mid-41s in a very lonely third place. Alonso, now he's cleared Holgado. He was some 6/10 quicker than him on the last lap, but only 2/10 quicker than Aegis, so he's not going to be able to launch much of an attack on Aegis for that first podium of the season.
Marino just taken 12 from Zonta and Bandon Dorber. Joe Roberts has just picked off Luca Lunetta. So Salich's American racing colleague finally up into the point scoring places. Further down, Alex Escurri just still stuck down in 20th place. He has slightly rebooted, and he's lapping a lot faster than 2 or 3 laps ago when he was marooned in the 44s.
Arbolino should gain another one shortly. We're still awaiting the long lap penalty for Barry Baltus, who's just passed Rueda for 10th, but it's a bit of a forlorn challenge that from Barry Baltus, because he's soon going to have to come through the long lap at turn 11, and he'll give up that place in the top 10.
This has been such a brilliant ride by Salich. Such a phenomenal performance. He has been building his confidence back on a Calex chassis, of course, this year. He had his troubles with Mark Vidias and the Vodka scorer last year. This is why American racing gave him a chance to stay on the Moto2 grid. The Raiders back inside that top 10. He's having a cracking ride over Antonio Raider. I think that Barry Baltus is taking his long lap penalty. I presume that's why the Raiders shuffled up inside the top 10.
Baltus has moved over that in 13th place, a 40.9 for Salich on that last lap. So Gonzalez squeezed him, tried to put that extra injection of pace in to drop Salich. He was again unsuccessful, so one mistake could still cost everything here for Manu Gonzalez.
Feels like Salich has done the most 40s in this Grand Prix, didn't he? He's been able to reel them off lap after lap after lap. He's been brilliant, this by Salich. Alonso's getting on with business as well. He's down to a 1:41.119, his best lap of the Grand Prix. Second year in a row then, this potentially late fireworks coming from the Colombian. This is a bit of trouble maybe brewing for ages, because on that lap last lap, Alonso was 7/10 quicker than the Aussie. Was 7/10 quicker than the Aussie. And they're quicker than the Aussie. Started this lap behind Aegis. That's now down to just 1.8 seconds. Aegis from Sydney in Australia. He turns 21 on Tuesday, trying to gate crash the early party here. The gap between those two now through sector 3. What's it come down to? Is it stabilised? It's down to 1.7. Yeah, Alonso is starting to make big progress towards the Aussie.
3 laps to go at the end of this one. Gonzalez, I think, now has got this one firmly sealed up. I think this is going to be another 140 for Manu Gonzalez. It's a 40.929 for Manu Gonzalez. He's seen the challenge of Philip Salich behind him. He's responded. Surely now, with 3 laps to go, Salich can offer nothing.
Sure, he will be the first rider since Aldeguer's purple patch at the end of 2023 to win 3 on the spin. Last time a rider took 5 successive Moto2 podiums was Aldeguer. He had that sensational ending to 2023, which earned him, of course, a seat in the Gazine Ducati team in MotoGP. Aegis, 1.6 seconds he is clear of Alonso, who once again is flying late on here in Balaton. Successive PB laps on the number 80. Here he is on the brakes into turn 5. Successive laps, he's taken 7/10 out of ages ahead of him.
A double-edged sword, isn't it, for David Alonso? Because he's so good at the end of the races, but in turn he's so poor, relatively speaking, in the early part of races and in qualifying. He really should have been higher up the grid than 6th, and he shouldn't have been in that position to try and chase down ages late on. But those are the strengths and weaknesses that the Colombian has on a Moto2 bike right now. So good at the end of the race, but he's often trying to launch a late comeback.
That long lap penalty has wound up Barry Pattleton because he just did a 141.4, which is only 2/10 slower than Philip Salach. So channeling a bit of anger there is Baltus, his best lap of the Grand Prix. He's down in 13th spot. In fact, he's up into 12th now.
So he's taken another, well, it's pretty much stabilised. He actually lost a bit of time in the first sector. He's got it back down to just under 1.6 seconds. So as potentially Senna Aegis recognised the potential peril that he was in the final 3.5 laps or so and upped his pace a little bit. Gonzalez has now done a 41.3. Aegis at mid-41, only lost 2/10 that time to David Alonso. So his late charge to the podium might have run out of steam a touch.
He's not make life hard for himself, does he, Vietti? So far this year, 13th to 5th in Jerez, 16th to 2nd last time out in Mugello. He's had to come through from 12th here to what looks like at best being a 7th place. Vietti's got to get his qualifying head on as well, hasn't he? If he's going to be giving Manu Gonzalez any troublesome headaches throughout the remainder of this year's World Championship, because there is your race leader, comfortably clear now, with what, a lap and a half remaining here in the Grand Prix of Hungary. And this golden winning streak shows no sign of ending as Sami Zuratuz has got a mechanical problem. He quite wisely gets off the line as quickly as possible.
Pulls back
I was going to say, stay off the line.
Stay off there, Sami Zuratuz, who's now had the black and orange flag. He's already a lap down at the back of the field, and Zuratuz does now pull off with a lap and a half remaining.
Good job as well. He was getting a meatball flag, as they say. Here is Manu Gonzalez then, winner of our opening Grand Prix in Thailand, winner of our last 2 Grand Prix in Catalonia and in Mugello. It's going to be 3 on the spin, isn't it, for the untouchable number 18 at the moment. What a burst of form he has found. I think it was Davide Briglia, wasn't it? He was talking to Jack Appleyard earlier on this weekend, Trackhouse MotoGP boss, saying just how impressive it has been, how Gonzalez has bounced back from all the disappointment of losing the Moto2 crown 1 year ago. Last lap underway, a last lap which Manu Gonzalez will enjoy because he is 1.6 seconds clear of Philip Salach.
Alonso has not given up on this podium yet. He took 6/10 out of Senna Aegis on the last lap. He is 7/10 behind as we start the final lap. So potentially in that final sector of this final lap, could Aegis yet come under threat?
Through turn 4 we go then for the final time. No pressure at all on the shoulders of Manu Gonzalez, who lifted a massive weight off his shoulders after the bitter disappointment of the ending of 2025. He's now started to win for fun, hasn't he? This is this battle for 3rd place then. Can Aegis hang on into the braking zone of turns 5 we go? We'll flick it left through 6. We're following Alonso, looking to make it back-to-back podiums here in Balaton. The gap now under 7/10.
We know Alonso loves some last lap heroics at Balaton Park. He passed Manu Gonzalez on the final lap here last year to take the top step of the podium. Can he claim a first podium of 2026? Aegis will know that he's coming. He needs to be millimetre perfect now in this final half of lap.
This is on Alonso. The problem is, it's getting on Aegis' rear tyres one thing. So difficult, isn't it, to make a pass here around this super tight and twisty Balaton circuit. He's going all in. Fair play to Alonso. He is just rolling the dice here and going all for the podium. 6 in the World Championship. It'll be his first podium. I think we'll be waiting until round 8, didn't we, for the 80 to shine. At the front now, cruising to victory will be Manu Gonzalez. It's going to be a stunning ride. Out of the final corner we go, and your winner in the 300th Moto2 race in history, it is Manu Gonzalez, your runaway World Championship leader. He does take his 3rd win in a row in this dominant 2026 campaign. Philip Salach on the podium for the first time since the Japanese Grand Prix at Motegi in 2024. His first top 3 in 33 starts. Senna Aegis does hold hold on to third place. A double podium then for Liquid Moly Dynavolt intact. David Alonso ran out of time, needed two more laps to win the Colombian to make it back-to-back podiums here in Balaton. Top 6 of the Holgado and Guevara from pole after his long lap drama. Vietti, Lopez, Ferrandis, Arbolino, your top 10. Points for away to Baltas, Spanden, Gorberg, Furasato in the point scoring places for the first time in 14. Joe Roberts completes your top 15, but that was another big win, another big performance, and another big statement from Manu Gonzalez.
MotoGP team managers, are you watching? How can you ignore this from Manu Gonzalez, who is clearly a much more rounded and complete rider than he was at this point last year when he won so many races in the first part of the season and then dropped out of contention in the second half of the year. He does not look like the kind of rider that's going to give this kind of points advantage up without an almighty fight. His lead now is 49.5 points over Ethan Guevara. Manu Gonzalez demonstrating his Moto2 title credentials and demonstrating why he certainly has earned an opportunity at the very highest level in MotoGP.
300 Moto2 battles now, and Manu Gonzalez has won 9 of them, 3 in a row. Let's get some thoughts from, I'm sure, an ecstatic after a double podium once again for Dynavolt intact. The boss, Jürgen Lingwajak.
Jürgen, what an afternoon. Both riders onto the podium. Senna, a fantastic ride, but Manu in particular, now a hat-trick of Moto2 wins. I'm sure you'd love to have him on your bike again next year, but surely he has to get the promotion up to MotoGP.
In my point of view, yes, but it's not my decision. I just can speak for the team, and I'm super happy. Both did a perfect job. Manu was again impressive, and I was also surprised about Salak that he had the back. To the end, I think Safari managed to the podium, so what can I say? Congrats to the team, good job of all, and another impressive race.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Jack, thanks to Dynavolt boss Jürgen Ling. I think most of us were quite surprised at just how long Filip Salac was able to hang in there. Credit to the Czech rider. What a pre-home race boost that is, with the Grand Prix of Czechia in Brno coming up in 2 weeks' time. With a class apart once again, wasn't he? Manu Gonzalez, 5 podiums in a row now. He's only been off the box once so far this season, which was a 5th place at Austin in Texas, and he's nigh on now 2 wins clear of Guevara in the championship. Superb performance once again. Some great rides in that Grand Prix. Gonzalez, your winner. Salac second. Alonso coming through from 9th to 4th. Career best for Alberto Ferrandis. Credit to him in 9th place. Great rider. Personal best in Moto2. Jose Antonio Rueda. First Moto2 points as well for Tayo Furasato. So plenty of riders have enjoyed their Sunday afternoon here in Balaton.
Chelsea Vietti doesn't look as if he's enjoyed his. Down in 7th place once again. Damage was done for Chelsea Vietti on Saturday afternoon when he qualified down in 12th. 7th for him, certainly not enough in terms of his championship prospects at the moment as he falls now 52.5 points behind Manu Gonzalez, who is in the form of his Grand Prix career.
No doubt, Manu is the man in Moto2 right now, isn't he? This is not new territory. He did so much of the front running in 2025 before he got real. By Diogo Morales, brilliant in the second half of the season. But for the first time since his home Grand Prix in Brno last year, Joe Roberts was the victor. American Racing find themselves back in Parc Ferme, and that was a heck of a ride, wasn't it, by Filip Salac. Superb performance. Led for so much of the early part of the Grand Prix. He really did pile the pressure, didn't he, on Manu Gonzalez when he was dropped back to 2nd place. It looks like the blue crew Pamak Yamaha of Ethan Guevara has run out of juice late on. 6th place, he will get credited with, but he eventually makes it back to pit lane. 11.1 seconds behind Gonzalez. Confirmation, as mentioned, commentary, first rider to win 3 successive Moto2 races since Fermin Aldeguer went on a winning blitz. He won the last 4 of 2023. The last time any rider in Moto2 had 5 podiums in a row. Well, that was Aldeguer in that sensational end to the 2023 campaign. That earned Aldeguer his chance in MotoGP. Is this winning streak, is this great patch going to Manu Gonzalez his spurs in MotoGP?
And the way his championship challenge sort of ran out of steam late in 2025, many riders would have struggled to come back from that, to bounce back from losing what was known as 60-point lead at one point over Diogo Moreira, but it seems to have lit a fire under Manu Gonzalez. Add to that the rejection of a place in MotoGP that it would appear Manu Gonzalez has been faced with it in recent weeks and months, and for many riders that would impact them in a negative sense, but it would appear to be Manu Gonzalez channeling it in the right way, channeling it to make himself push harder, to go faster, to be a better all-round rider, and there's very few weaknesses to spot in the Manu Gonzalez armour at the moment.
And I feel that this is a bit of payback here in Balaton. It's been led for the final stages of the Grand Prix here last August before he got passed on the last lap by both Diogo Moreira and your eventual winner David Alonso. Started the Grand Prix here last year, third, finished third. Today from the second row, he takes the victory. Senna Aegis, oh well, a very nice pre-21st birthday present for the Aussie. Third here in Hungary, and he's with Jack.
Senna, what a brilliant ride. You really had to work for that podium, fending off David late on. It's such an important point in your career. How important did this podium for you to keep yourself in championship contention?
Yeah, podium today was important. I'd like to have done a little bit more. I was there or thereabouts, and I was staying, but I wasn't catching, and slowly, lap by lap, I was on the limit, and I had a couple of really big moments, and I just tried to hold my pace to the end, and I could see Alonso coming, but it was pretty stressful mentally out there. But yeah, I was nervous coming to this weekend. This track doesn't particularly suit me, all the stop-start training direction, so I kept calm, doing my work, doing my homework. I'd never been here prior to this weekend, so I'm third place today, feeling like I had nothing left again. I'll take it now, it's time to enjoy, switch off a little bit, but then, yeah, analyse Bruno, because now I feel like I'm finding my feet. I'm being more confident, and I'm really happy with everything at the moment, so now it's time to enjoy the moment and keep going like this.
Great job today, well done.
Thank you very much.
Austria, first time this season he's going to be on the podium celebrations and not standing on the top step. Of course, the winner in Austin, the winner in Jerez, but he won't care. Back on the podium, third place for Aegis, keeping himself third, only in the hunt for third overall in the championship. He moves on to 94 points, there's 8 now behind Celestino Vietti, and just 11 behind Ethan Guevara in second. He might not be too long into this World Championship campaign, but we might be having a dynamite intact 1-2. Well, with his home race beckoning at Brno in 2 weeks' time, Filip Salac on the podium here in Balaton. What a ride by the Czech star. He's with Jack.
Philip, what a ride, pushing Manu all the way to the end. The first podium in nearly 2 years, and the perfect way to get everybody excited about our trip to Brno in 2 weeks' time.
Man, I have no words, to be honest, you know. Like last year, in the end of the year, I didn't know if I'm gonna keep racing because I had no team, and American Racing gave me a chance. Ethan, you know, Avner, they gave me a chance because they saw some potential in me, and we have a good last 4 races. Not so lucky in the beginning of the year, but now we can see that when I have a good bike, good team behind me, is the best team I've ever been in, I can be in the front. So it was amazing first half, and I think I deserved this because it was really tough time, believe me. I didn't trust myself, you know, I had other problems out of racing, and it was really hard to don't give up, and I didn't. So I want to dedicate this to everyone who is not in a good mood. Keep pushing, and you will arrive. It took me 2 years, it will be not tomorrow, but you're going to be there. See you in Brno. Všichni přijďte do Brna, těším se na vás. Děkuju.
Great job.
Keep fighting, keep pushing, keep believing. That's the most important message from Filip Salac. Better days are always ahead, and his day has come today. That was a brilliant ride, the ride of his life, certainly the ride of his Grand Prix career. Start number 135 is just his 5th ever podium finish, and what a home race boost in Brno in 2 weeks' time. He pushed Manu Gonzalez so hard in that Grand Prix of Hungary, but once again, the runaway World Championship leader, an unstoppable force in Moto2. He wins the 300th Moto2 battle. Manu Gonzalez with Jack.
Well, Manu, Philip did not make it easy for you out there today, but it's yet another victory. Now a hat-trick of Moto2 wins. What more do MotoGP team managers need to see?
Really the race was so difficult in every aspect, physical, riding, condition of grip. Philip surprised me because he was riding so well that they had to adapt and change my riding in some corners. But from the middle of the race I say, okay, let's go first position and see if I can push. And I had my really good pace. Yeah, 3 wins in a row, it's amazing. It was an objective, but every race I start like it's a new one. Nothing happened in the past. Again with the same work, again with the same push. So let's go to Breno, exactly the same we come here. For sure, we need some rest. But yeah, I'm so happy because it was a difficult race and we still managed to get P1. So let's keep doing. Congratulations. Thank you so much to everyone.
Manu Gas operating at full gas right now, isn't he? This was the key race winning overtake. He got right onto the rear tyre of Salac on the brakes into turn 5, carried all of his momentum then through 6, 7 and 8, and that was the key attack on the brakes into the chicane of 9 and 10. You have to give credit to Salac. He did not give it up without an almighty fight. Well, that's how you celebrate, guys. Look at that, the pair of them with massive stand-up wheelies over the line. Some performance by Manu Gonzalez and Philip Salac to commemorate the 300th Moto2 Grand Prix. He's to the next 300. As Manu Gonzalez will head, well, the top 2 in that Grand Prix are going to head to the Grand Prix of Czechia. In great spirits, aren't they? Gonzalez with a World Championship lead of almost 50 points. In second place in that Balaton Grand Prix, Philip Salac heading home brimming with confidence after that stunning second.
Nathan Guevara's day today after his brilliant pole position yesterday. Had problems into turn 1 on each of the first 2 laps. One through his own making, one through Alonso Lopez's making. Of course, the long lap penalty that he picked up for the unsafe change of direction off the line. Would love to know from Philip Salac if he had to shut the throttle off at that stage. It feels like a bit of a harsh one, but certainly consistent from what we've seen earlier in the season back in Austin, Texas. The way the race panned out, ultimately in the end, at the most, that cost Guevara perhaps 1 place.
Yeah, it ultimately turned into a bit of a lonely Sunday afternoon, didn't it, for Guevara? 1.5 seconds behind Holgado, a mile up the road. 3.5 seconds clear almost of Vietti. He'll have to try and focus on the positives. The main positive of the weekend being that superb 1:40.2 he produced to take pole position here yesterday. But it's on Sunday when it really matters. It's on Sunday when the points and prizes are up for grabs. And collecting all of the last 75 available in the Moto2 World Championship has been Manu Gonzalez. He is going to be desperate to make sure that history does not repeat itself. He is not going to blow it this year. He's not going to fluff his lines. There's no Diogo Moreira hunting him down in 2025, just like there was last year. And victorious today when those closest behind him were suffering. Guevara 6th, Vietti 7th, and the clear big winners by a mile today were Liqui Moly Dynaville.
Yeah, for American Racing in second place with Philip Salac. How exciting must Ethan Buck will be ahead of Brno with home favourite Philip Salac on the form of his career. And of course his teammate Joe Roberts won that race last year. Senna Regis onto the podium in 3rd. But a leap for the delight for Philip Salac, who is reaching new heights in his Moto2 career. As we've already discussed, it's his first podium for the best part of 2 years, a 4th career podium for Salac in Moto2. And for Manu Gonzalez, it's a 4th win of 2026. I feel like he is a world champion in waiting on current form. It is going to take something quite special to reel him in from here with a nigh on 50-point lead, but this is just round 8 of 22, and for sure the likes of Guevara, Vietti and co will fight back in the future. 3rd place for Senna Regis, who had a bit of a mixed bag of results. His only 2 podiums prior to this were wins, but on his first visit to Balaton Park, he leaves with a trophy. Philip Salac getting a massive cheer from the American racing team, and Manu Gonzalez recognising in part for May just how hard he was pushed today. Bring on Brno will be the message for Philip Salac today. Good to see his teammate there, Joe Roberts, also ready to congratulate his teammate. Joe Roberts did take a point today in 15th place. But Manu Gonzalez, as he has been on now 4 occasions this year, far too good. And far too good to be ignored, you feel, from a MotoGP point of view, as Manu Gas reigns supreme once again.
Moto2 race here today in Balaton, and now 3 wins in a row for Manu Gonzalez in what is turning out to be an outstanding 2026 World Championship campaign for the Spanish rider. Double podium for the German-based Dynavolt Intact team, and a great day for those pockets of Czech fans who've come from the neighbouring country here in Hungary to witness Filip Salac, one of their own. No wonder he's got a massive smile on his face. Yeah, taking a big gulp of the Prosecco. There's Salac, and perfect tonic, the perfect Filip, I guess you could say, as he heads to his home Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. So Gonzalez then now 49.5 points clear in the championship. Big smiles all round from your top 3. Manu Gonzalez, 3 on the spin.
Dominant victory today for Manu Gas. Filip Salac certainly made him wait for it. Had to settle for an equal career best. 2nd, Senna Regis, 3rd podium of the year in 3rd. 4th and 5th for Aspar. David Alonso nearly did reel in Aegis on the final lap, but he did at least beat his teammate Danny Morgado. Ethan Guevara from pole via a long lap to 6th. Vietti from 12th up to 7th. Lopez 8th out of a career best 9th for Alberto Ferrandez. Arbolino in 10th out of Rueda. Baltas via his own long lap. Van den Gorberg, and a first couple of World Championship points for Tayo Furusato. Joe Roberts taking the final World Championship point. Zubatu's, his bike broke down late on via crash down. Munoz and Ortola went down together after a few laps, and Cadet didn't complete the first lap. And Manu Gonzalez now leads the World Championship by 49.5 points. Barring something dramatic, he will lead the championship until at least the end of the Dutch TT in Assen. Guevara 2nd, 3 points now ahead of Celestino Vietti, with Senna Regis closing in 4th. Alonso Lopez, he climbs a place. Big move in the championship though. Filip Salac, as you saw there, he climbs 4 places into the top 10. Constructor standings, of course, a Kalex lockout of the podium today in the first Bosco row in 6th, so the lead now for Kalex is 56.5 points. And in the team standings, a little more Dynavolt Intact GP now over 100 clear of their nearest rivals at Spa. So once again, Manu Gonzalez just far, far too good. A hat-trick of victories for the runaway World Championship leader. Surely he's earned a place in MotoGP. Well, the current crop of MotoGP stars will be in action next. We begin our countdown to the Hungarian Grand Prix in just a moment.
The first of 3 rounds in a hectic June with Renault and Aston to follow comes from Balaton Park, which sits around an hour's drive from bustling Budapest. Surrounded by the sunny slopes of the Balaton Highlands, picturesque lakeside towns and beaches galore, make it a stunning summer holiday destination. Whose destiny is it to be the Sunday hero, though, in Hungary? It's time to race in MotoGP. First on the calendar, the Balaton Park circuit last August in 2025. It first opened its doors a couple of years ago in 2023, about 80 kilometres southwest of Budapest. Very tight and twisty. Layout. Talk about a contrast from the wide open high-speed circuits of Catalonia and Mugello. Our most recent visits, tight through turn 1 and 2, opens up through turn 4, good braking opportunity, good overtaking opportunity down into turn 5. The first of 3 chicanes takes you into the tight 9 and 10. Well, that completed through turn 15 and 16. Turn 1's really hard on the front end, so too is turn 5. 1 and 5, 2 of the best overtaking hotspots around this 4.08 kilometre layout. This was Marc Marquez on his way to a treble here last year on Marco Bezzecchi into that first corner. Well, our second visit to Balaton Park turned out to be an incredible sprint Saturday for reigning world champion Marc Marquez on pole position after a crash in the early part of Q2 yesterday for the 76th time in his MotoGP career. He would eventually go on to dominate the 13-lap event. Drama behind him as Fermin Aldeguer tried to find their way through on the fast-starting Marco Bezzecchi and Ralph Fernandez. But for the 18th time, he ties Jorge Martin's sprint-winning record. Marc Marquez taking his first victory since returning from recent double surgery on his right foot and his right shoulder, and now he's honing in on a double win here in Hungary. Is today the day that the factory Ducati star does win his 100th Grand Prix? He goes from pole position ahead of Pedro Acosta, who was second over the line in yesterday's sprint. Marco Bezzecchi increasing his world championship lead from 17 to 20 points coming into our race day 8 of 2026. Bezzecchi charging his way through from the second row of the grid in 6th place yesterday to claim just his second sprint podium finish of the campaign. Sunny skies, hot conditions, not a lot of breeze about as the world's fastest riders get set to tackle one of the tightest and slowest layouts of the campaign so far. And just like was the big questions of our first visit to Balaton last August, who on earth is going to be able to stop Marc Marquez from rounding out another pole position, sprint win and Grand Prix victory treble? 2/3 of that equation have already been completed by the 33-year-old Spaniard, who led from start to finish with a commanding victory in yesterday's sprint. And quite clearly, despite his pre-weekend assessment being haven't got a chance of winning here on Sunday, well, not quite sure we believe in this. Marc Marquez starts as the clear pre-Grand Prix favourite, which will be lights out and underway in about 40 minutes or so.